को बोलो स्क्रीन डालने के लिए।
Share some real-time use cases. And there were over 67 slides. I want to ask the developer some time. But it will be good to understand that why we have chosen small farmers as a use case here. That's going to be the biggest interesting point. There's some definition about that. Yes.
Should I start Zoom?
Today, the whole world is relying on these farmers that have less than 2 acres of land. Okay? Historically, what happened was when we start producing more people, so for 10 acres it became 5 acres, and then there's a distribution, then it becomes 2 acres. Now we have seen situations where people are even 1 acre of land. But in the past 2 to 50 years of whatever we have looked at history, they never had access to technology. They actually start doing integration into intuition. That's what I want to use. Once intuition here, I think that I cannot. If I start putting the UDI in that area, I'm sure it's going to grow. Right? Because my grandfather said do this, but then probably 1980s, when the green revolution started, right? People started using so much of UDI, thinking that it's going to really do good to the land, without knowing that it's actually spoiled the entire market. We've seen our chemicals and pesticides going up to 4 to 5 years. Now, if you need to regenerate the entire land, it's going to take about 5 to 6 years. So the farmers do not have the luxury of waiting for 5 to 6 years, right? So they have to sustain, they have to take care of the families. So that's where exactly where we did all the research. So by introduction, I founded a company called Product Innovation Labs. MIT certified in fintech, first batch passed out in 2016. 7 years in the making of a blockchain company and sustaining through the pandemic. I think that's the biggest tap I should give to myself. As a single founder, I ran the company for 7 years. Today I teach microfinance in the top class business schools across the world. SMU, Singapore Management University. I also teach at IIM Nagpur. So where we have actually devised all these models and then ran through multiple, professors, everybody. We thought, okay, this could be a model what we can do. And then in the last 7 years, we have come out with our own platforms called Food Lens, again for the sustainability of smallholder farmers, where we try to get them extra revenues through increasing their yield as well as selling direct and cutting down all the middleman. Right? But the statement looks very simple, but how do we get to a scale without using technology? Right? That's exactly where my talk is today, where we have used artificial intelligence and Web3 and integrated with blockchain and machine learning to really be able to deploy technology at scale at a lower price. That's very important. No? Because smallholder farmers cannot afford, right? Can they really afford IoT sensors and putting all the sensors across 1 acre of land? Cannot. So we have to really look at jugaad, right? And we are used for jugaad. So we did the jugaad and we got satellite imagery and said, let's get the technology at 49 rupees per month. Right? The lowest, cheapest technology that we can get. So the vision was to get the technology access at less than $1. We were able to achieve at 60 cents today. That's our biggest achievement. And we came out with models by using Web3 and NFTs, how we could actually get agriculture loans at 0% interest. So that also I'll share quickly, next a couple of slides. And we've also introduced waste collection models that's live in Jamshedpur today, where we've used some IoT sensors. The whole of Jamshedpur colonies today use our technology to actually track and segregate waste. That's exactly strategy. The vision is very clear. We have to leave something for our next generation, right? That's very, very important. We can't be selfish because we have kids and obviously we're going to have grandchildren and all these people. So we have to see what we can leave for that. And then obviously we've put all these things and started now committing on our own layer 1 protocol, which is only focusing on ESG. Anybody know what's ESG? Anybody can answer? Environment, sustainability and governance, right? So we said, okay, let's look at ESG as one of this one and say how do we solve these problems. That's the whole idea, how we started. Obviously I've been speaking in a lot of international events. This is a good opportunity to share my experiences here. Right? And I want to spend a minute or two because to set the context, right? Why we got attention of YC and Y Combinator, for those of you know, and Solana Foundation. As of last week, they were speaking to us on two platforms. Obviously, the Foodlens itself, we were part of Y Combinator startup school. The reason I want to share the information is that startup school is free. You don't have to now go to the cohort and all these things, so you can join anytime. It takes about 4 to 6 months to finish that. So one of the things that happens in Y Combinator startup school is that you get to get peer reviewed by other founders across the world. So every Wednesday it happens. You can choose the slots. And these sessions are a bit unique, right? Because every founder wants to grill the other founder. Because there is a bit of rating that happens. So when we missed the deadline in September to apply for the cohort, and they wrote an email, you've been voted top 10% across by all the founders, why don't you come as a wildcard entry? That's what I meant, right? That's where Foodlens was in a wildcard entry. We didn't make it because we were pre-revenue at the point of time, which we respect the decision. But the point here is that when you try to do something good for society, I think people will start recognizing you. That's the whole part I want to make it, right? So coming to Ahan. So Ahan is a Sanskrit word for the first ray of light. It means first ray of light. Why this is very, very clear in terms of farmer's life, right? You understand that it's 6 to 6, right? Farmer only works when the sun is up. They don't work from 6 o'clock in the night and they don't do that, right? So we named this Ahan. So we are trying to get agriculture loans at 0% interest. So today I'll cover with all these things in the next slides, but just to set the context right today, if a farmer needs 50,000 rupees as a working capital, he will end up paying 24% interest per annum, minimum, right? We call 2 taka, 3 taka, right? I'm sure you'll understand in the village, right? Now, we call this middlemen. So obviously they try to take advantage of situation. As I again said, the farmer does not have a luxury to keep his land for regeneration for next 6 years. It's not going to happen. So they take the loans and whatever they get it, they start deploying it. Unfortunately, when they deploy this whatever capital, they ended up buying spurious seeds and fertilizers. Today, 40% of the fertilizers and seeds are actually spurious, right? Which the farmer does not know. So now he gets into the trap, and they just start putting so much of fertilizers and pesticides, killing the soil, and the growth is not there. So by the end of the 6 months, what's going to happen? If the seeds are not good, the germination doesn't come up, but he's still in the debt trap. The 50,000 rupees what he has taken from the other people, he still have to pay back. So the debt cycles have been continuing in some cases for generations also. So we spent a lot of time with the farmers and then said, we'll say what we can do. Right? That's exactly where this Tech for Social Good came into the effect. Foodlens was born in 2019. We were invited to World Bank and IFC, Sakar Sankul in Pune. If somebody's in Maharashtra from Pune here, they'll understand. Exactly where Ms. Pawarji sits, same building. In fact, his own conference will be used to present this solution. And after seeing a solution, they actually gave us a one-to-one. They said, can you please come, right? Now let's look from the IFC's point of view, right? They give billions of dollars to all the state governments. At least they found about 15 state governments today. And they also know that only 20% reaches the actual farmer. They also know that, right? It's very, very clear. Too much of bureaucracy, red tape. Even distribution sometimes is a big problem for them. So we can't blame only these guys, but somehow it doesn't reach the farmers. So we were specifically told, why don't you go and spend some time with the farmers, understand, right? We went. I took my team also, right? Because me telling as a founder, I could be biased. So I said, let's go. We went to the tribal areas where, so we could see this is the area near Araku Valley, if you guys know Visakhapatnam in Andhra Pradesh. So if you go there, what happens is that we have seen that they have got the best quality of turmeric and the millets being produced. But the kids are actually malnourished. Right? I've asked the boss, what exactly is happening? Right? I see that you have nice millets. Why don't you just make even porridge and give to them? So the answer that he gave me is that, sir, I can't afford to give this to my children because I have to pay the guy who has lent the money, right? The lender. So what this guy is doing is every Saturday or Sunday he will do some harvest, go to the nearest the weekly market, sells at whatever price comes back. The first thing he is now obligated is to pay the interest. And once he saved like 10 rupees, 15 rupees, whatever, he is buying the ration rice, right? Which is 2 rupees or 3 rupees, which has got nothing inside. It's just the one which nobody wants to eat. and that is being fed as porridge to the children. Obviously, they are malnourished, right? So, I mean, there are a lot of things we would have experienced here, but the idea here is that looking at all these situations here, we looked at why we should actually, start coming out a vision where we could actually start doubling. Today, we want to look at a vision where the farmers are financially inclusive and sustainable. So when I say sustainable, we really want them to be able to have a dignified life, and they should be able to have a proper food. Now, see, the problem here is that, okay, now he's producing the food. Often he goes hungry, right? He or she goes hungry. So we are trying to stop that. Obviously, we also have the climatic angle here. So the more the chemical fertilizers they put on this patch of land, like more of urea, it's going to produce nitrous oxide, which is going to add to all the greenhouse emissions. 18% of the GHG emissions that happen today in the world are actually from agriculture. That's the biggest problem, which can be avoided. Obviously, we want it to be win-win for the producers, which are the smallholder farmers, and the buyers, consumers like us, or the B2B guys, right? Now, the mission here is very clear, right? We really want to double the income of smallholder farmers. Now, can we double in one cycle? Not possible. We are aiming to double in over 4 to 6 cycles, which we've done all the math, run all the models. We said, so we took an analogy of a leaking funnel. So if you visualize what is a leaking funnel, assume that I've got a funnel, I'm putting the water, but I've got so many holes in the funnel itself. So what's going to happen in that case is the water is not going to reach the bottle at all. It's going to keep on, right? If you take the analogy here, today the leaking funnels in agriculture is at the highest cost of capital, 24%, 36%. If somebody takes 50,000 rupees, he's only able to deploy 40,000 rupees because the lender is actually pre-detecting the interest. So 10,000 is interest, right? He says, you took 50,000 rupees, but I'm only giving you 40,000 rupees as a cash because I've already pre-detected the interest, right? Whereas he's expected to pay 50k at the end of the produce. But if he deploys only 40,000 rupees across this one, he's not going to make money. I mean, there's a lot of things, right? And now he's wasting so much of money for fertilizers and pesticides without knowing where to put. So I'm going to give a short demo how we have done it, so you can visualize what I'm talking about, right? And then also on the, maybe it's blocking there. Basically, we want to reduce the greenhouse emission. That's what the mission is there. Okay, let's look at the problem statement, right? What exactly is happening here? There are a couple of things here. We have the farmers, the buyers on one side, and we have the environment on the other side. So if we start looking at, as you were saying, the cost of working capital is about 24%, 36% here. And whatever we pay, let's say simple example like okra, right? Okra we buy at 40 rupees or 50 rupees in the cities, the farmers only get 6 rupees. And this is all real-time data I'm sharing, right? There's nothing exaggerated. So if you look at this 20% is what he says, the risk is in the farmer. Now, as you may know, it might sound funny, we all get salaries on 31st of every month. Unfortunately, farmer gets a salary only after 6 months. Kharif, Rabi, right? So if the successfully is done, end of the Kharif, you will get some revenue so that you can use it. So that's the whole idea, right? So we are looking at, if we get only 20% as what we pay, obviously it's not going to come out of the debt trap. That's point number one. So looking from the buyer's point of view, we don't have transparency today, right? A lot of people say it's organic. So if we talk about organic here, we don't know what exactly is organic. We spent so much of money in Amazon to look at all this. So there are a lot of policy changes, right? In fact, when farm laws came in, even Honorable Prime Minister had no other choice but to apologize to people. Right? And I don't want to get into that geopolitical stuff, but that's what's happening, right? So we get affected. If turmeric is cheaper in Lakadom, why can't we buy it in Andhra Pradesh? That's my point, right? But obviously, let's not waste time on that. But in terms of the greenhouse effects, we're looking at 18% of GHGs happening from farms across the world, not only in India. Obviously, more the fertilizers, you're going to use a lot of greenhouse emissions here. So what we have done in terms of a solution, right? There are a couple of things what we have looked at is anything that happens in agriculture is either it's a pre-harvest or a post-harvest. There's nothing new you and I can invent, right? You put a seed, you put a tomato seed, it takes 90 days for it to come up. But today, as a consumer, we visualize tomato as a tomato only. We are not able to visualize to say what's happening for the 90 days. That's exactly where our tech comes in. We call it the food lens. We tell the behind the lens story of the food lens. So I'm going to just share my screen here to quickly show you how it looks like, and then I'm sure it will be easier. Okay. Guys, see, how do we get it for this one, please? Thanks. Thank you. Sorry, okay, I didn't think about that. Okay, good. So what we have done is we have created an Android application. Again, there's a reason why we do that. Today, farmers cannot afford an iPhone. Neither we want to put any capital or raising an iPhone and getting all these things. So a simple aggregation model what we use. What we do is, of course, this is a multilingual. So it can change to Hindi in an instant. So I'll take it here. So if the farmers are comfortable with Hindi, Telugu, Tamil, it can work. The system is developed that way, such a way. But I'll come back to English for easier understanding. Right? So two models what we went live, and I'll tell you why we have done this. There's a lot of it. The first point here is that we have the farmers don't have more than 2 acres. Average is 2 acres of land. So if you can do a mapping of the farm, of his farm through a geofencing, so what happens here is it starts blinking. I will tell you to start from the northeastern part and then to walk around the farm. Right? So I've done a mapping yesterday of Mobor just outside this. I'm going to show you that, how that looks like. Right? So that's the mapping I've done just to show this demo today. So we're exactly here. You see the tennis court outside, here, and then we are inside this room talking now, right? So this accurate about 4 meters is what we can achieve if they can start walking around. So once you do this mapping, every 5th day we provide the precision agriculture data. And I'll tell you exactly what it means or what I mean, right? So if you go to this outside Hyderabad, so we had a satellite flyover on 6th of August, here. And see that, so we are able to now precisely tell where the vegetation is lacking. So as you can zoom in here, that's exactly where there's not much of growth happening today. Reason being, it's not fertile at that part of time. So you come up now, see that there? Exactly, that's exactly where there are less fertility. And we are telling for a couple of things what we are trying to achieve, right? We tell farmers just focus on that area and put the fertilizers. So wherever it's all green, the farmer need not waste money to pay for the fertilizers. That's the biggest change, right? 40% or 50% of fertilizer cost can be actually saved. If it's a chemical farming and if it's doing some urea, what's going to happen is that we're also reducing the greenhouse gas emissions because of this one. So there's a dual advantage, right? We bring the technology at less than 50 rupees for the reason that we could say at least 2,000 rupees per month to a farmer. The ROI is exactly 200%, even more, right? That's not the focus anyway. The focus here is that can the farmer use it? Now the biggest problem that we faced when we went live with this technology is that farmers didn't have smartphones, most of them, right? Today, especially we went live in the toughest terrain in India, Meghalaya. Again, where we are now tracking Lakadong Tamarind. Now what we do is we work on a microcluster model where we have an ambassador of Foodlands that actually acquires about 150 farmers or 250 farmers. If the farmers do not have a smartphone, this person will do the mapping for them and will start explaining all this, data points. That's right. So we have got good success in this case where we are able to clearly talk about the biotic stress also, which is the actual stress that happens when there's a lot of pest attacks happening on this one, right? Again, you see that it's again in the same corner where there's a pest attack. It's not fertile. We're not putting fertilizers. You can put the fertilizers, and you can only focus on that area for the pesticides, and the rest of the area is all good. It's all clean. These are real-time data, right? And this is near to 4x4. That's the precision what we get to the farmers, and it is color coded. If the farmer is not illiterate for whatever chance, right? We are not expecting to do anything. Just follow this one. Just 15 minutes of training, and they're good to go to use the technology. That's a point what we do there. And then, of course, the other points. Abiotic stress is more important because it's not seen to the naked eye, but it's actually killing the soil below 4 to 5 meters of soil. That could be the one which they are, killing the soil now. If they do it for the next 10 years or 12 years of cycles, the whole land is dead, gone. It's totally gone, right? So our objective here is to get the technology at the cheapest price and also get them at least 2,000 to 3,000 rupees worth of savings per month. That will impact their direct cost of capital, right? Now, if I can reduce 2,000 rupees or even 5,000 rupees across the crop cycle, then he doesn't have to take 40,000 rupees loan, right? 50,000, he can just take 45 next year. Then he can reduce to 40, 30, right? That's where, right? While we are reducing the capital required, working capital requirements, we are also making sure that he can actually sell direct and make more revenues, 20% more. So if you do the math across 4 to 5 cycles, you would have reduced the cost of working capital cost, would have reduced the revenue that we got. At some point of time, they become neutral, and that from that time, it doesn't need to take any loan from any of the people. They become self-sufficient. That's what we call sustainability, right? Now, how do we do that? Again, I want to give you a quick demo. So if the farmer is actually, let's say, coriander, the farmer is doing coriander on 0.5 acres of land, we submit. So it creates a block. So this is a private blockchain. Again, we are not here talking about all the public blockchains. This is a platform called Coda, which is a private blockchain. Reason why we chose this, we don't want to confuse farmers with gas fee tokenization, right? For them, it should look like a Web2 product, but what we are doing is a Web3 behind the scenes, right? So we got the block created at the moment. Now the farmer knows how to record. It's again like taking pictures in WhatsApp or whatever. Just click on that. If you want to show soil preparation week 1, and they just take a picture of it, right? So just take a picture here, just a Web3 picture here, right? So, and they are expected to take pictures standing within their form. That's a geofencing, what we call, right? And there are a couple of things why we do that also. Like, if this time I'll explain in detail why it happens. Let's take 2 pictures of this, and then just to simulate the entire thing. So I got that. So all we are doing is that we are giving you a proof of provenance here. We are saying that I am growing coriander in this area. This is organic. If you wish to buy from me, you can come back to my marketplace, place an order. If you are within 5-10 kilometers radius, I will come and deliver to you. No middleman. Consumer also gets freshest produce. So if I start sharing to for example, to my potential buyer, so we are also enabling, we call e-commerce from day one, right? So if I said to Venkat, okay, friend, who was speaking earlier on, let's assume Venkat is my potential consumer, right? Now we can start tracking it from day one. So what happens? So you see that the coriander, it comes up, right? So I got the pictures what we have given. Ideally it would be the pictures of the land, right? He can cross-check blockchain details if he knows the JSON data. That's not area here, but we can always show the location part of it. Where exactly is this growing? So we are exactly in the same location here. Where is it? It's demo syndrome, right? Doesn't matter, works fine. So anyway, that's exactly where we are, right? So where I am talking about. So, right? If you're outside, I get a good accuracy. Obviously inside, it's maybe taking time, but we are in the same overhaul. We can now show that it's there. Just so I did a mapping here. So if I'm growing something, I can pinpoint there exactly where it is coming from. That's the whole idea, right? Now, the significance of this is that we are actually able to create a lot of value in tribal women farmers in Meghalaya. And this real thing, you can actually place order if you want to. It's one of our aggregators called Organic Affair. I really wanted to tell you the story, sustainability story, how we're able to do that, right? Now I'll come back to the actual topic later on, but I want to understand what's happening, then we'll talk about what technologies we've used. So I believe in telling the real stuff, then we'll come back to technology, right? Let's not get confused with construct or all this. That's not the idea here. So we support sustainability. So we're looking at the actual farmers there, about 1,500 farmers. Out of them, 80% are women farmers. We got 20% premium. Right? By cutting the middleman, we got 20% premium. And Lakodong turmeric, we were able to get it to India. And unfortunately, everything gets exported. It has got the highest curcumin content in the world. Right? Today, before you even place an order, you can actually check the proof of provenance here, and I will let you guys to do that once it comes up, right? So we are the first company probably in India or the world where we actually tell them first, you can look at that this is actual produce, organic produce. You cross-check the provenance on a blockchain platform. So I will let you guys to, you can go ahead and scan this if it's clear. You just scan that. And you can tell the story, see the story about how we procured from women farmers, verified on Foodlands network with a blockchain hash, obviously. If it's scanning, I don't know. Is it clear? No, right? Okay. Okay. I'll come down. Somebody wants to scan. Okay, here. Just scan this, please. So this is the proof of consensus, right? So I'm coming to erase this scan, and you're all my proof for this. Okay. Anybody want to scan? Yeah, take a picture. Okay, fine. Great. I have some proof here anyway, it's working for that. So if you have observed what is happening there is that we have actually shown where the producers procured from the farmer, and the entire steps of the processing was actually done, are shown there, right? So now if you are now convinced, right, the user can actually start placing an order. So when the produce comes here, you get a sticker which is a QR code pasted on that particular packaging, and this packaging, and you can start verifying again if you want, right? That's what we have done. Now the advantage what we have done here is that if they were to sell it to a middleman, they would get 80 rupees per kilo or 100 rupees at the max. We are able to get 120 rupees as a revenue for the farmer. That's the 20% premium. Now if you cross check for Lucknow turmeric in Amazon, you can go ahead and Google now. 100 grams will be 250 rupees minimum, right? Or 200 rupees. Now we're looking at 150 grams at 125 rupees. Again, it's not that this aggregator has actually made a loss. No, nobody has made a loss here. The middlemen that are eating 50% of the profits are actually distributed, half of it to the farmer, half to the consumer. Obviously, technology cost is there, we take about 5%. We are a good middleman technically, that's what I can say. But the idea is to make sure that we get all these things on a blockchain platform by creating a trust layer, right, between non-trusting parties. When is a non-trusting party? Who's a non-trusting party? We may not trust a farmer. Today, there are some farmers who also try to defraud, right? They put tomatoes, the famous example tomatoes. They put all the tomatoes on top, niche put all on it. So the mandi is what also is a ulta karo, right? So some of them do that, but that's unfortunate. Right? But the point is that how we have used technology. Now I'll actually come to the actual tech part, right? How we did that. So coming back to what we have done in this our platform, right? If you see that, I'll come to the details of it. The precision agriculture, what we do today, is actually an AI model, wherein we get the data from both NASA and Sentinel-2 satellites. Now, this satellite feed is free. Anybody can go to it. Go to Sentinel-2, the website. They will give you the API keys and do that, right? But that's the simplest problem, right? Because it will give you raw imagery. It will tell you, okay, it flies over India every 5 days. I can give you a geolocation. It will tell you, okay, this is the data. Take it, right? But you got to apply the neural networks. That's where AI comes in. The AI model comes in, where we are able to precisely pinpoint to 4x4 meter where it says this is exactly where the stress is. That's exactly where it's validation. That's integration of AI. Right? Now, when I take this data, now we see that now I've just recorded some pictures here, right? Now let's say that the farmer wants to defraud the system, right? He says all the pictures are looking green, right? Coriander is looking green. But when the satellite imagery starts giving us orange and red, then we can counsel the farmer, right? Saying that don't try to defraud because it's not going to help you. We are here to help you to get good pricing, but you are putting some stupid pictures from your other farm or something. That's not. So we match with the geofencing, right? That's where the machine learning comes in and says, okay, now is it the real produce coming in here? Can I now use it as a proof of provenance to be able to sell this produce without confusing the farmer? Farmer today, till now, I can tell you, we never use words like blockchain, spatial imagery with any of them. I can guarantee that. All our aggregators talk in their local language, Kashi in basically Meghalaya. We've also live in other parts of country in India. And then we also run pilots in Kenya. Now the way this system was built is highly scalable. And the reason why we sustain is we are a zero capex model, right? We don't buy, we don't sell anything. We are like Uber for farmers in India or across the world, right? We say we are creating a layer, trust layer and blockchain, and we had B2B customers like Udaan calling us and say, can I now procure from your aggregation network? And let me explain what happens from the other side of the problem, right? Now Udaan is waiting for the money to open next day. So look at why there is a food wastage in India and across the world. Right? Again, the farmers are only operating from 6 to 6 in the evening. They harvest today, which is Monday today. They're waiting for money to open next day morning, just 3 o'clock in the morning, right? So from 4 p.m. to next day morning 3 o'clock, if you are putting the okra on the land, it's going to get spoiled. So 30% is going to get spoiled, right? Now, when Udon goes back to Mandi, they send their trucks at 11 o'clock next day morning. So they have to now buy the okra at 11 o'clock, go back to their warehouse, put on the cold storage, so that they can sell on Wednesday. So we reverse the supply chain, where we said at 4 o'clock, if you do the harvest here, because we work on a micro cluster model, we can do the aggregation within 2 hours. Because we're talking about a 46 kilometers radius, right? We will only do the work if the buyer has given a 30% advance using a forward spot contract. So typically we are saying, because we have data from the day it was sown, right? We have data for 90 days. The farmer, the buyer can cross check that, and it's on blockchain. We say if you need this produce, single source produce, which is 5 kilometers radius produce, you're supposed to put 30% advance 3 days before the harvest. So we are locking in the price. That way it's advantageous for the farmer also. They may get 8 rupees per kilo or 9 rupees per kilo. For the mandi guys, for the buyers like B2B Udaan, it's probably like cheaper than what they buy at mandi, right? That's the first advantage. Second thing is that the delivery happens by the aggregators. So the aggregators will deliver to the Udaan's warehouse. So Udaan doesn't have to worry about logistics, right? That problem is gone. Third biggest advantage, there's no need for cold storage, right? If you look at Udaan's model, all they're doing is they're buying from money today. They're giving to Kirana stores on credit for 15 days. So when they make money, these guys collect the money at a bit of interest, right? Now we've said, boss, if I harvest at 4 o'clock in the evening, deliver by 11 p.m., is there a problem? We said, no, they're jumping on the back. It's good because they don't have to pay for the cold storage. They don't have to worry about logistics. They know that it is a single source farm, good quality, and we reduce the food wastage from 30% to 5%. Makes sense, right? I cut it at 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock I put it in the truck, reaches by 11 o'clock, and we are doing the transport in the evening. There's no sunlight, right? Basic common sense actually. Nobody thought for 250 years. And that's the problem, right? We are trying to disrupt that. That's where we are coming in, right? I will pause here, take any questions. I have a couple of slides, but I want to check with Chief if we have time or not. We have time, okay. We have maybe 10 more minutes. I'll come back to that, right? Is it making sense, guys? Did we really understand why we used AI with... Do you have questions, sir? Yeah, please go ahead.
You're speaking about soil quality, the
Correct.
quality of soil from
Correct.
satellite images.
Correct, yes.
How accurate is that?
83%.
How do you judge if I'm...
Correct, yeah, that's a good question, right? So if we put the sensors on the ground, we can get 95% and above accuracy, which is the right way to do it, right? But look at the cost involved in terms of the capex per year. Farmer who doesn't afford 20,000 rupees as a loan, now I got asked to put 15,000 rupees as gateways, right? That's again we applied common sense. We said we don't need to worry about the 12% accuracy what we might lose, but let's go with satellite imagery. There's absolutely no cost there, right? Farmer can actually test the data for 3 months. If it's working for him, then he can pay 50 rupees per month. That's all we do.
You said it's 80%?
Yeah, 83%. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, 83%. The only problem is if there's a cloud cover, you will not get it. That's because of the Sentinel-2 satellite doesn't have the capability to go through the cloud, which is SLAV, what we tell them.
It doesn't matter, so that 83% arbitrage is still enough.
Yeah, correct. Absolutely.
I had a
Yeah, go.
regarding the food storage program.
Correct, yes.
30% you said was the food
Wastages.
loss.
Yeah.
Even more is lost in transportation,
Absolutely.
from production to consumption, right?
Correct, yes.
How can you,
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, that will help you. Go ahead. Yeah.
so without temperature controlled storage,
Correct.
how do you disrupt that? So,
No, we have run the models on that. You are completely good for the papayas, for example. In real time, again, I want to show. So there's a farm in Coorg. If you guys know Coorg, Madikeri and all this, right? So it's organic papayas. They actually were supplying to all the 5-star hotels in Bangalore. The real problem that happened is that this guy starts at 7 o'clock in the morning. The truck goes all the way, and then by the time it reaches 5 o'clock or whatever time it takes, they were getting 40% rejection. You know the simple way what was happening there? So these guys are taking leisure breaks at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock in the afternoon. They put the truck on the hot sun, outside. They want to go stop at a dhaba, sleep over until 2 o'clock. So we came out with something called smart pallet boxes, IoT sensors which measure the temperature, humidity of the spot. So we said, and this guy what he was doing, lot of restrictions happening, right? Then he said, I'll send my guy also. But this guy is, a comcho, right? He says, okay, I've got and being talking to the guy. Both are again also chit-chatting at the dhaba. That also didn't work, right? We said, boss, we don't need to put this guy. Put all this organic produce in a smart pallet box. It's IoT sensor box. We maintain threshold. Obviously, it reaches 25 degrees or more. The alert doesn't go to the driver, it goes to the farm owner or to the buyer, right? Those guys will obviously make a call as a bus start code, right? Simplest things we have done. I didn't have time for that, I didn't put the slide. But all these models we run with SMU and all these big business schools, and we run this. So simplest thing is where you can put an IoT. I think in one next slide I'm talking about that. So let me come back to that, and then see how it goes. Okay, great. Now this slide I'll spend maybe 1 or 2 minutes, then we'll quickly skip to the next one ecosystem what we built, right? So one, we spoke about precision agriculture, we saw the demos. We also are now doing 0% interest funding. That's where AHAN we call, where Salona Foundation spoke to us last week. So what we do, I do quickly, is that when we do the geo mapping of a farm, of 1 acre of farm, our AI models take over and do the prediction. And how do they do the prediction? They look at historical data. They look at the market prices, what came, MSP, what we call minimum support price, and comes to a prediction that says it's about 1 lakh rupees as the bottom. So what we do is that we create a master NFT worth 1 lakh rupees, and we create 100 fractions, basically 100 NFTs, which are worth 1,000 rupees today. Now, if you want to support crowdfunding for a farmer, again I'm saying that farmers do not like donations. Right? This is not a donation platform. Farmers need working capital at the right time. Right? So what we tell them is you can buy an NFT at 1,000 rupees each, and you can buy multiple NFTs. It's like mutual funds only. You can buy them multiple NFTs. And then the formula in agriculture is that if the yield is about 1 lakh rupees, you need to put 40,000 rupees as a working capital. Now we don't give all the 40,000 rupees on day one because farmer doesn't need this. Today the flaw in the banking system or loans, agricultural loans, is that if somebody says 50,000, they give on day one. What farmer is going to do? He will use the 50,000 rupees to pay the previous debt, or in some cases, splurge on the alcohol, right? Society issues, right? So what we told, because we can now start tracking each event on our platform, we said if you show the proof of soil preparation, smart contract will release 20% of the 40%, 8,000 rupees, 10,000 rupees, right? That's exactly what he wants. Right? In some cases, when we mature enough, we can say, boss, we don't even need the money, we will give the seeds and fertilizers, good quality ones. Right? Makes sense, right? And then anyway, our standards are monitoring this data every 5th day. So we can say that if it is turning red or orange, we can send our aggregator and say what's happening there. Right? If it needs fertilizers, the contract will again release the next 10,000 rupees for fertilizers. Right? So over 4 events, we give the money. Why we do that is that we don't want the exposure of the money for our NFT holders. So the guarantee for NFT holders is 12% APR. And also that's possible again with a simple common sense. If the produce goes through at 40,000 rupees we have invested or given them, right, as advance one, we could actually, we have the 160,000 rupees in the wallet to purchase back the produce. Right? So 1 lakh rupees, the farmer gets the entire 1 lakh rupees, 0% interest, right? Because we buy direct from all these farmers, we can actually negotiate with big buyers. Like ITC can negotiate, we can sell 1.2 lakh rupees. So if we make 20,000 rupees profit, 12,000 rupees goes back as dividends to the NFT holders. These are asset backs, we call real world assets. Okay. No, this is a PC product, okay. Alright, so it's good. So what we are basically saying, okay, anyway, even it doesn't, I can next one, right? So what we are basically now saying is that if the NFT holder is holding for 6 months, right, he or she will get the dividends, but we create liquidity that they can sell NFT any time of day. These are asset backed. So if the produce is sold, the NFTs are actually bought back and burnt. There's not perpetual NFTs, right? So that's exactly what someone was saying. There's compressive NFTs. They were telling us, they're selling us their technology, while I'm selling them the common sense, saying that okay, we are going to use these NFTs to make sure that they get loans at 0% interest while taking care of the NFT holders also. Right? Now, in a case that there's a flood or something went wrong totally, we actually insure the entire money we have given them, 40,000 rupees. So we get back the money. 60K is already in the wallet, so the money is guaranteed. So basically, capital is guaranteed. So you get back 40,000 there, 6,000 rupees there. And because we are holding that 6,000 rupees for 6 months, we actually stake the tokens. So we can get back 24% also. So which means from the NFT holders, at least we can give between 3% APR to 12% APR. Making sure the farmer is happy, we are happy as a platform. So that's called AHAN. That's where we did this particular funding, right? And the third part is the carbon sequestration. Okay, India is the 5th highest holder of carbon credits. We don't know that actually. The entire northeastern belt of 7 states here have never followed chemical farming, which means there's tons and tons of carbon credits which are inside there, but unfortunately they don't know that they exist here. So we are trying to do a way to evangelize them and educate them so they can get the extra revenues. That's the whole idea, right? That's what we're doing. So I hope that is clear. I'll spend some time here. Again, I probably want to close it faster. Best. So this entire ecosystem, what we plotted 4 years before, right? So clearly, starting from the producer, the farmer, right? It's not clear for whatever reason, but I can read out. Basically, what we are encouraging them is to do some digital transactions on the platform, so we can increase their kind of a CIBIL score. Today, most farmers don't have CIBIL score. We all know that, right? CIBIL score is all looking at urban, consumers like you and I. But we've built our models called Credible, which is an alternate data sets of blockchain, IoT, spatial imagery. We can do that. Then we can also use deep vision to check whether the quality of the seeds are good or not. That's the second one. And we do the aggregation with the cooperatives here. And the same example I said, we can start tracking the movement of the high quality produce from A to B using sensors, IoT sensors. That's the fourth one. Obviously, processors can buy direct. So totally everything is middlemen are eliminated in the system here. And agri-industry buyers like Udon, they can buy from the system, and consumers can verify the provenance, which you guys just saw that. And we are creating an entire layer of blockchain here, where we can show the entire single source of truth is what we call. We tell them. And same data is given to the banks and NBFCs if they want to do financing, if at all. We also use it for crop insurance. So we have created a kind of A to Z model for food supply chain, putting AI, machine learning, and not confusing farmers. Right? The person at this level is not confused. Even consumer doesn't need to know what's happening, but the entire thing is tracked. That's the whole idea. Right? Just a market size today. Global agriculture market for using blockchain is about $285 million today, but in the next 10 years it will be $1.3 billion, or CAGR of 3.76. But this is the biggest one, right? Today it's already at $1 trillion now, global carbon credits market, projected at 2.68 trillion at about 80% CAGR. Happy to give the slides later. Right? That's another presentation. You can scan this if you want to connect with Cloud Innovation Labs. I'm the founder of the company. Be happy to take any offline questions you might have. Was that useful? No, I hope your respect for farmers have grown a bit after this, what you have seen. I think we owe them a lot. And especially by 2050, we're looking at 9.7 billion population. Right? The next biggest wars will be fought for water and food. Right? You should be careful about that. Okay. Thank you. With that one, I conclude this. Thank you.